cryptocurrency and blockchain show with the Minds Panel Show. I'm your host, Satori D, and I'm here today with my Minds Panel crew. I got Lee Travis. Hey, what's up, Lee? How's it going?
How you doing, guys? This is Lee. My channel's out, Lee Travis, and I'm a cryptocurrency fan.
Hey, and then we also got Tech Lords in the house. Hey, what's up, Tech Lords?
Hey, everything's fine here. Hope you guys are doing okay.
We're doing good. We're kind of losing our first guest. He's going in and out. Cryptocurrency. Rocky, are you there?
I'm here. I'm back. I keep on getting kicked out for some reason from Google Hangouts. I haven't had a lot of success with that platform, but I am back.
Okay.
How's it going?
We're doing good. You want to kind of briefly introduce yourself and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm a full-time cryptocurrency trader and investor, as well as a marketer, and I help run a trading education school on skillincubator.com, and we have about 500 cryptocurrency traders that are in our school, and I also just recently launched a site called Cryptohustle.
Cryptohustle, nice. Okay, we also have the Synereo team here. We got 3 people from Synereo. Christian, can you introduce your team here?
Yep, we are all from the Synereo project. My name is Christian. I've been more or less with the project for a year now. We also have Evan and Jim. You guys can go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Evan. I've been with the Synereo project as a community leader for a couple months now. It's pretty cool stuff.
We got Jim.
Yeah, Jim Scarver here. I've been with Synereo since the beginning. The Synereo project is has a lot of overlapping ideas with Minds in terms of providing the social networking environment.
Yeah, they seem very, very compatible, and we're kind of like doing the basic same thing. But Christian, you want to briefly explain for people that don't know what Synereo is and what you guys are doing?
Yeah, sure. We are building a few different things, but the biggest thing that we will probably be marketing in the future is a social network.
Okay. And
this social network is it's going to be a smart contracting platform. You're going to have a cryptocurrency built into the stack. It's designed so there's no backdoors. So your privacy is, no one can look at your data. Yeah. That definitely opens a whole nother can of worms for the security and privacy geeks. Decentralized, distributed. I don't want to say it's the holy grail of social networking, but we'll see what the devs come up with in the next, hopefully, few months. We'll have a beta launch.
Okay, that sounds exciting. Yeah, I was researching you guys. You guys are doing interesting stuff over there. Okay, so real quick, I want to go back to Rocky, and let's get into the basics of Bitcoin and why is Bitcoin so liberating?
Well, it's liberating because unlike having IOUs in a fractional reserve credit system, you actually control your own wealth through managing your own private keys on a public open source blockchain. So that's it's a permissionless monetary system and one of the first in history.
Yeah. It's really interesting. So like we're gonna go over, as I was reading on your site, you have the 5 reasons why cryptocurrency is liberating. So we're like cutting out the middleman, right? In this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, with the traditional, there's a lot of friction in the traditional banking system. You've got daily spending limits. You have these delays. You've got all of these arbitrary fees placed on you. Your assets can be levied or seized. You're pretty much at the whim of these financial institutions, and it's been like that for quite some time. And fractional reserve banking actually is a very similar model to a Ponzi scheme. It's actually like a Ponzi scheme. Essentially, you pay old investors dividends from new investors, and whereas with fractional reserve banking, you're actually paying off the interest on old debt with the creation of new debt. So they both have the exact same effect of creating more debt because it's impossible to pay off the principal sum.
Yeah. Anybody else want to add to what their experience with Bitcoin or anything like that? Lee Travis, you want to?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you good.
Okay. I've got one of these little hand controllers, but I don't think that part is working. So, yeah, I've got probably 5 years worth of experience with Bitcoin. I started Durango Bitcoin about 5 years ago when it first came out. I was writing a manifesto called Wiki Being then, and that's how I discovered the Bitcoin client. And I was looking at the way it was, its ability not as a currency, but back then as its ability to distribute data, and make it safe inside of and I didn't know how it worked exactly, but I discovered it because I was researching that kind of stuff back then. So, and I've lost money, quite a bit of money, and I've gained probably as much money as I've lost back. So I'm kind of at right at an even scale.
Okay. And with Synereo too, what I was researching, you guys got that app. What was it? The coin with inherent value. You want to briefly touch on that? Anyone of you guys?
So the AMP is sort of redeemable to amplify the reach that content has.
Okay.
That's one way. It ties into the attention economy, but it's one way that you can pay for distribution of content based on what the person wants to be engaged with.
Uh-huh.
You can also push out stuff that you want other people to engage with by spending it. It's redeemable for promotion on the social network.
Okay. Sounds good. Kind of like our points system and mines. We got Cryptohustle back again, right?
Yeah, I'm back. I just plugged into my modem, so hopefully that
works. Yeah, it's cool. Okay, so now let's kind of go into, for especially those people that really don't know about Bitcoin. You have some helpful tips on your website. The 12 steps to keep your Bitcoin safe. You want to touch on that?
Yeah, so the most important thing with Bitcoin is it gives you freedom, but with freedom comes responsibility. And so you have to actually maintain and secure your private keys, because if they get hacked, it's irreversible, and there won't be much you can do about it. So that's the trade-off. And so some of the things that you need to do is, well, the easiest way is to actually just get yourself a hardware wallet, really. But there are other attack vectors, such as viruses that can change the Bitcoin address on you when you try to copy and paste it and things like that. So you always want to double check the wallet that you're sending to. You want to make sure your operating system is secure. I mean, I know Tech Lords is a big fan of Linux, as am I. So it tends to be a much more secure operating system than Windows. If you are going to use Windows, then it's probably better to have it as a dedicated computer for your crypto stuff. I do a lot of trading, so I'm constantly kind of shifting coins back and forth between different exchanges and wallets and such. So I use Linux, and I really got into Linux since I got into Bitcoin, and I've never really had a problem with any of the security because of it. So
nice.
Mm-hmm.
Tech Lords, you want to touch on that a little bit more about?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Linux is the OS of choice for any Bitcoin trader, especially traders. You can't really imagine a trader trading on Windows. It's not compatible.
Yeah.
Windows is like Swiss cheese. It's like full of holes. So if anybody you should have a dedicated computer if you want to trade Bitcoin. If you want to keep Windows, but you should have a dedicated laptop just for trading Bitcoins, because it's very important security wise. So it's much more secure than any other OS out there.
Yeah, definitely.
I missed that. What OS are you guys talking about?
Linux.
Linux. Okay. What distribution is the favorite?
Well, it depends on your level of expertise. For beginners, Linux Mint is really good. You have other like I don't really like Ubuntu because of their Unity desktop. Uh, but there's other like Linux Mat or Mate or Mate. It depends on how people pronounce it. That's a very good option as well. If you're more advanced, you could go to Arch Linux. Um, so it all depends. But Linux Mint is uh, really a good operating system. Um, Maybe not the Cinnamon desktop, but if you go to an XFCE, you could have a Windows XP style operating system, but much more secure, of course. So I highly recommend Linux Mint
The next minute.
17.3 Rosa.
Okay.
So yeah,
That's
and
good.
the Make desktop, of course.
Yes. Okay. Crypto Hustle.
Thanks.
Can you go a little bit more in depth about the hardware wallet?
Yeah, so the one that I use is called a Trezor. It's I haven't really tested a lot of the other ones out. Trezor's pretty good. It protects against multiple types of attacks. Even the $5 wrench attack, which I find kind of hilarious, whereas someone tries to extort you and hit you over the head with a $5 wrench, you could have multiple different passwords and accounts with different coins on them. So that's kind of cool.
Oh, okay. I think
We lose?
we lost him again. Okay. Anybody else? About security
Oh,
with your
he's
Bitcoin?
back.
Oh, he's back again.
I'm back. Okay, so the idea is you isolate your private keys from the internet.
Yes.
So it kind of isolates your keys in cold storage, but it gives you the convenience of using a hot wallet, which is essentially just kind of like a web wallet. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, and probably to boost user adoption, that would be the best option because most people really don't want to be bothered with having to figure out how to secure their keys and keep their computer safe. So.
Yeah, I think that's pretty important for the average person to kind of like get into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, because there a lot of people don't want to like they use the same password for everything because they want to like remember it and all this kind of stuff. So the more kind of like tools we could give them to kind of adopt it and make it user friendly, I
Yeah,
think it's important. Yeah, definitely.
absolutely.
Anybody else want to touch on that subject? Okay. So I think we'll move into the 5 phases of Bitcoin. We're talking about having people kind of adopt it. So I was reading, and you had the experimental, where everybody's kind of like testing it out. The early adopters. You want to touch on that subject?
Yeah, so in 2014, Barry Silbert, he was interviewed. He's the founder of the Digital Currency Group and the Bitcoin Investment Trust. He was interviewed by Forbes, and he laid out the 5 phases of Bitcoin adoption, which is experimental, early adopter, venture capital, Wall Street, and then the consumer adoption. And I believe last year we'd entered into the Wall Street adoption when you had New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ and all these major Wall Street firms getting involved and getting skin in the game. We're not quite at the consumer adoption phase yet, but I mean, all the infrastructure is there to make it happen. I mean, even here in Canada, you could purchase Bitcoins, I mean, at a premium, but you could still purchase Bitcoins across 6,000 stores here just with the voucher. So I see more and more that things are becoming streamlined. It was just a few years ago where you had to send a bank wire to Mt. Gox, some shady exchange out in Japan, just to be able to get your.
I was going to add to that, but I forgot what I was going to say.
About the kind of early adoption and it being more available.
Oh yeah, but just now that it's what it is, it's still it's sort of hard for unless you're in a city to get the coins. I'm noticing bank accounts are more starting to make you sign if you're going to use it as, you can't use your account as a cryptocurrency. In Colorado, you can't use it for cryptocurrency or marijuana businesses. And there's another one too for anti-fraud. So,
Okay.
gambling, online gambling is the other.
People are scared about the association between Bitcoin and crime, which is like quaint.
Yeah.
Yeah. And define crime, you know?
That's cool cash. It's like, that's stupid. Okay.
I would say too that I don't necessarily agree that it's even getting closer to mass adoption because proof of work is such a problem. It's just not. I mean, unless someone has an update on how Bitcoin's going to scale, I don't see it going much further now unless there's a massive breakthrough with respect to how transactions are cleared.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. I mean, there's that raging debate about Lightning Network and all that kind of stuff, and the block size debate that's been going on. I mean, I'm kind of I've been kind of neutral on the debate. I do feel that the blockchain obviously needs to scale, and I like the concept and the idea of Lightning Network and how it could potentially scale millions of transactions a second. But I also understand the concerns that, you know, if you have these central payment hubs, that these could be a potential centralized solution, or it could be co-opted. Maybe they would want to require KYC compliance or whatever just to use the blockchain, right? But that said, the founders right now, they're all a lot of them are cypherpunks, and they do have a tradition of wanting to ensure freedom and privacy. So I'm not so sure they're as ill intent as some people would say they are, but we'll see. I'm currently optimistic about it, but you're right. I mean, Bitcoin definitely does need to scale in order to hit consumer adoption. Otherwise, and it needs to do it soon. Otherwise, it won't be able to handle that.
Well, even Ethereum's having a problem with scaling. But can you? That would be really interesting if you could maybe just give a 1 or 2 sentence summary on how the Lightning Network works. I didn't even hear about that yet. You're still there.
Tech Lords, do you know? I think we lost.
Yeah. Well, he'll be back. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Next time he's going to come to my house.
Do you have anything about? Oh,
it's really quite an old problem that we're grappling with. About centralization is really efficient. If you want to do things really fast, centralization is really good. But if you want to do things that are fair and that don't rely on some central authority not being evil, then there's obvious efficiency costs to do that.
Yeah. Oh, you're back? Okay.
I'm back. The best way I've heard Lightning Network described is running a bar tab. You know, instead of paying for each drink individually, you run a tab with a payment hub, and it's a multi-signature transaction where you essentially lock coins on the blockchain. Now, in some ways, it could decentralize services like Coinbase, which is a custodial service that holds everyone's private keys. If you could take those same services and put them on-chain or lock them onto the blockchain, then people wouldn't have to relinquish their private keys. I could see a potential to even decentralize exchanges and things like that. So in some ways, it could decentralize some of the services that we're already using, because I'd say the majority of people probably use things like Coinbase or, BitPay and these services like that, at least the majority or the mainstream. So.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know it was that complicated, because that's not even the miners. Now you have actual exchanges that might not want to be decentralized, dude. That's so intense. That just added a whole nother level of magic to this.
Yeah. And then side chains might come out soon, and then Rootstock, which would be an Ethereum side chain, basically taking all of Ethereum's features and linking it to Bitcoin as a side chain.